Hey guys, it's Mandy Ezel, back at it again for the Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. So hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. So let's get this one started. Today's deck is my Granblue Ghostie deck. So it's a deck that, to me personally, it kind of felt underrated. It didn't really get its own grade 3 that just supports its archetype up until midway G or end of G. And here it finally got its own at the very end of V. But it still got one. You can now use it, besides just being a bunch of support cards for other decks. Now it finally has its own deck focused on its own things. So let's go ahead and get this started. First up, one of the two starters, Captain Night Kid. 6k base, 10k shield, auto and road upon you get to draw a card, and then if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 1 or greater, you get a quick show ticket. So that's really helpful. You get a draw that I was top decking to for some reason. You get a quick show that you use for 5k shield or a discard. All around, decent help. But you may be wondering, why did I say two starters? Here's why. Chappie the Ghostie, 5k power, 10k shield, auto, rear guard, or guard circle. When placed, if your drop zone has 10 or more cards, this unit gets plus 10k power and 10k shield, putting it at 2015 or 1520. Why is this another possible starter? Well, it's a grade 0, it's at 3 copies, and you want to play mind games with your opponent. A lot of people don't play mind games, some people do. This can be a very fun mind game because if, say, this is your starter in a best of 2 games, you ride Captain Night Kid for 1 to actually be smart, then you ride Chappie, your opponent's going to question, 1, why are you doing this just to get a call later off from the Ace Grade 3 skill instead of a draw and a quick show where you can easily just search this out? Well, it makes your opponent question what they're doing and how to play against it, and it's always fun watching them squirm when they realize that they've been duped. And 2, it adds for early setups. You don't have to try to mill it out. You can easily just get into drop zone via Soul Blast. So it's helpful that way. A lot of people wouldn't do that. I am one of the people that does it, and it's very fun watching it occur. So 3 copies. You don't have to make it the starter, but you can if you want to play mind games. Now on to triggers. 4 copies of Gust Jin. 5k shield, basically the draw PG. 5k power, the draw PG. You are never going to call this to rear unless it ends up in drop and you call it via Beatrice's effect, which I'm pretty sure is restrictive to Ghosties. So you have the second skill or the first skill that's restrictive to Ghosties. But either way, it's helpful to have 1 draw in a deck, even if you're just going to mill. This is not a turbo mill deck. You should not mill a lot of your deck cards in 1 turn. I think there's only 1 card in this deck that actually mills besides... Well, actually, no, there's technically 2 cards in this deck that mill and everything else doesn't. So, having the draw PG really helps out, and then having its own, being a PG of its own, and then, since you normally want to pick Protect 2, so Beatrice can be broken as all hell, unless you're playing against Chaos. In that case, don't pick Protect 2. It's just helpful to have. So 4 copies of Gust Jin. We run 8 crits, 4 being Night Spirit, 4 being Rushie's Banshee, because she is the closest I can think of to a Ghostie. And finally, the heal trigger, Rick the Ghostie. You need as many Ghosties as you possibly can if you want this deck to work, because with Beatrice, this becomes a 25k shield? There's either 25 or 30 in a 10k base. I know it gives 5k power guaranteedly. Question is, how much shield does it give? So 4 heals, because, who doesn't want heals, and it's a Ghostie, because Beatrice. And now onto grade 1s. 3 copies of Norman the Ghostie, 7k base, 10k shield, act rear guard, retire this unit and put the top 2 cards of your deck into drop, and one of your other units get plus 10k power till end of turn. So that's very helpful. You can give it to the Vanguard, since it's the only one that doesn't get the plus. You can give it to a rear guard just to make it even bigger. It's just all around helpful. And because of its skill, you can combo it with Ghostie Leader, so you can call something back out, such as Chappie to get power and or shield, or Rick to get shield. And it's just all around helpful, and it can put more stuff in your drop so you can see more Ghosties. So 3 copies of Norman. 4 copies of Tommy the Ghostie Brothers. You may be wondering, of me of all people, why would I put Tommy in, since technically speaking Tommy is a Night Rose card? Yes, it is. But at the same time, in its name, it's a Ghostie. Suck on that logic. So I count it as both a Night Rose and a Ghostie. So anyways, skill. 8k base, 10k shield, continuous Vanguard or rear guard. During your turn, if your drop zone has 5 or more cards, it gets plus 5k power. That's easy. This is Granblue. We can do that in our sleep. And auto Vanguard or rear guard when placed, look at top 5. Reveal it to 1 grade 3, put it to your hand, and if you put a card, you discard 1. So that's helpful. You can get Beatrice out, you can get the other grade 3 out, you can get something in a drop via this effect and call it out later due to Beatrice, and it can help you get cards in drop for its other skill to get +5. It's all around a really helpful card, and I really like its spoiling on the double rare, so 4 copies. 4 copies of the new grade 1 Damien the Ghostie, the only card in this deck that actually mills. I mean, the only other card being Norman. So 8k base, 10k shield, auto Vanguard or rear guard. When placed from hand, search your deck for up to 1 Ghostie card, put it into your drop zone and shuffle your deck. So that's really good. You can put a Chappie in there for later, a Norman in there for later, this in there for later, another copy of this in there for later, or such as a certain grade 2 that you can do a fun play with. You can do anything you want with this for setup, so it's really helpful to have it. And auto rearguard circle at the end of the battle that it attacked. If you have a Vanguard with Ghostie in its card name, retire this unit, and if you did not countercharge by the ability of Damien the Ghostie this turn, countercharge 1. So to a technical default, this is a named once per turn. It doesn't specify it, but it straight up says you cannot countercharge twice from this effect. But you can still retire it just to pull off loops with the grade 3. So even if you don't get the countercharge off the second time, you can at least still get more tax out of it. So that's really helpful. 4 copies of the grade 1. On to grade 2s. 3 copies of Ben the Ghostie. He has been around for... He is a promo card. I just realized that. Never mind, he's been around since I think the start of Aquaforce, or... I mean, not Aquaforce, but the start of Granblue, or the second Granblue set. One of the two. Either way, 8k base, 5k shield, auto when placed into drop from deck, Soul Blast 1 and call this unit. Oh, I wonder what's going to send it straight from deck to drop via selective mill. Maybe Damien, or maybe something that does it by random luck. Norman the Ghostie. And that's just really helpful because, you know, you can get it out on first grade 1 turn. You got a grade 2 rear guard after soul blasting, so technically you'd still put something into drop for effects later on. And now you got another attacker and an interceptor that you can use later. And he's a Ghostie, so he can proc off of Ghostie Leader. So that's really helpful. So 3 copies. 4 copies of Storm Ride Ghost Ship. 9k base, 5k shield, continuous hand. This card cannot be normal called. And it cannot be called to guard circle either. So you have to call it from drop, which is the hard part to do, because Ghostie Leader only calls Ghosties, and only her on-play skill calls anything else from drop. But it can still be used as PG fodder, which is mainly what you use it for anyways, or if you have to ride it, you can, or you can just call it later via Ghostie Leader. And then its other ability, Auto Rearguard Circle. When it attacks, this unit gets plus 15k power to end of battle. At the end of the battle, draw a card and retire it. So 24k attack with a free draw, so that's really helpful. And it retires itself, so you can proc off Ghostie Leader with it as well. 4 copies. 4 copies of Jesse the Ghostie. 9k base, 5k shield, act drop zone, retire 2 rear guards not named Jesse the Ghostie, and call this card to rear. This ability may only be used by a card with the same name as this unit once per turn. There's the name once per turn. And auto rearguard, when it attacks, this unit gets plus 5k power to end of battle, and at the end of the battle, retire this unit, and if you do not countercharge by the ability of Jesse the Ghostie this turn, countercharge 1. 9k base, 5k shield. That is effectively helpful. If I'm correct, since it does not have a cost, you have to do the second skill. It is mandatory, but it's still helpful because you still get the countercharge off it, but it's just like Damien, where if you did it earlier, you can't do it again. But since you get the retire off, you can still use Ghostie Leader, and it's a 14k base, and if Ghostie Leader is on your van, this is a 19k base during the attack. So that's really helpful. And it can put stuff into your drop zone for later, because Ghostie Leader doesn't specify battle phase. So, you could just say, retire this, and let's just go with this, and you can use Ghostie Leader twice to proc off, and call it down a grade 1 and a grade 0. So all around really helpful. 4 copies of Jesse. 4 copies of Dragon Undead, Skull Dragon, 12k base, does have a protect gift. Grade 3, if you ride this, you will not be in a bad situation, but you will not be in a good situation either. Continuous hand, this unit cannot be normal called, so just like, what's it called? Just like Storm Ride Ghost Ship, you can't call it to the board, but you can place it on guard circle. Continuous Vanguard or Rear Guard. During your turn, this unit gets plus 2k for each card in drop. So, in this deck, unless you spam out the Normans like there is no tomorrow, you will not be able to get a lot of power off this, but that's fine because it's not focused on Skull Dragon. It's focused only on Ghosties, which is why this deck kind of seems not like what Granblue would do of turbo milling out the deck. And the other skill, auto rearguard at the end of the battle that attack, retire it. So that's helpful. You get to proc off of Ghostie Leader and you open up circles on board. So 4 copies. Yes, this deck does not really focus on milling, so Skull Dragon is kind of the weak link here, but at the same time it can still prove useful if you have to ride it, and it is the best backup grade 3 that this deck can possibly have. So 4 copies. Speaking of Ghostie Leader, because I've said it and mentioned it with literally every Ghostie card but Ben the Ghostie and Tommy the Ghostie brothers. Everyone else I've mentioned at least once with it. Here it is, Ghostie Leader, Beatrice. 12k base. She does have a Protect gift. Auto Vanguard or Rearguard when placed. Soul Blast 1 and call a card not named Ghostie Leader Beatrice from drops under Rearguard. So you can call anything that isn't herself. So you can call Skull Dragon. You can call Jesse. You can call Stormride. You can call Ben for some reason. You could call Damien. You can call Tommy. You can call Norman. Or you can just call a Trigger at this point. Or Chappie for that matter. It's up to you really. But you get to get a free call and you get to Soul Blast 1 for it. It's an auto Vanguard or Rearguard skill, so you can also do it on rear if you want to go for rush tactics. Continuous Vanguard Circle. All of your units with Ghostie and their card names on your rear guard and guard circle get intercept and plus 5k power and plus 5k shield permanently during both players' turns, which is really good because that means that Rick the Ghostie becomes a 25k shield and a 10k base, and they all get intercept too, so you can call down a heal trigger to rear if you wanted to. Damien becomes a 15 shield, 13k base. Jesse becomes 14-10. Chappie, without the on-play skill, becomes a 10-15. With the on-play skill, 25-20. So all around, really helpful skill that it pluses to all Ghosties. And since it says all your units with Ghostie and their card name on rear guard or guard circle, you can just call this down to the rear guard and then it gets the +2. So that's really helpful. Auto Vanguard Circle. When your rear guards retire by your card's ability during this turn, hint, hint, Norman, hint, hint, Damien, hint, hint, Jesse, hint, hint, Stormride Ghost Ship, hint, hint, Skull Dragon. Counterblast 1 and call a card with Ghostie in its card name that is a grade less than the retired unit from your drop zone to rear. Here's what you do. You somehow make Skull Dragon go into drop. You also make this go into drop. You ride Ghostie Leader, skill of Ghostie Leader. Call Skull Dragon. Do your attack with Skull Dragon. Skill of Skull Dragon kills itself. Skill of Ghostie Leader. Counterblast. Call Stormride. Attack with Stormride. Gets plus 15 and you draw. Stormride dies. Skill of Ghostie Leader then. Call down either this. Actually, no. Call down Damien. Skill of Damien. Just send a Ben the Ghostie to drop. Skill of Ben the Ghostie. Soul Blast. Call it. Attack with Damien. Damien either hits or fails. Skill of Damien. Retire himself. Countercharge. Skill of Ghostie Leader. Counterblast. Get, where is it? Chappie the Ghostie. Or Rick the Ghostie. Either way, you get, let's see, how many attacks would that be if you call Ben to the different column? 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 attacks. I may be wrong on that math, that might be more than 5. But still 5 attacks at decent numbers, and you're at your first grade 3 turn, and that should only cost you 2 counterblasts? 2 counterblasts. So that's really helpful. So 4 copies of Ghostie Leader Beatrice. She's very balanced. She gives you power. She gives you shield. And she's all around a good card. And then on to the gifts. We got 4 Protect 1s, 4 Protect 2s. I do not imagine the game going on longer than 4 turns for grade 3-wise if you ride. If it does, then I'm sorry for you. But Protect 1 is just the standard PG. Protect 2, which you're most likely going to use, is the one where you give it to a rear guard. It permanently gets +5. So it buffs up anything it's on. And it gets 10k shield when intercepting. So, those Rick the Ghosties now become 15ks with 35k shield for grade 0, which is really impressive. Chappie becomes a 15k as well. With the skill, it becomes a 25k with, let's see, this adds 10 to the shield, so 25k shield. So that's really helpful as well. So all around, very good card. Very good gift for this deck. Protect 2 most likely. If you want to go protect one of those chaos situations or situations where your field's going to get nuked, you can. But otherwise, Protect 2 is the way to go. And then the Quick Shield, 1 in 1 of your units is attack is plus 5k power in a battle. I would never understand why it's not an actual shield and it just gives you power instead, but either way, it's okay. Well, that was the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget, you have 2 different starters to use, either Captain Nightcat or Chappie. One's just a mind game card, the other can actually get you a plus, and then Ghostie Leader is just one of the best, budget grade 3s out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon. We have a Discord, so you can join that and you get early updates on videos. We have a Twitch, so you can go follow/like or whatever Twitch is on that. And I have my second channel up, known as Blazing Resonance, which all those links that I just mentioned are in the description. So main takeaway, hope you guys enjoyed. You can build this deck if you want. You don't have to. It's a fun deck to play. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.